Welcome to Bizemag podcast, which is launched by Business Strategy e-magazine, again by the group L'strategyq. I am Dr. Vaneeta Aggarwal, CEO of L'strategyq Group. Kindly subscribe our channel. The link is given below this video. Today, we are having another expert, entrepreneur, and renowned author, Fausto Ruggiero from Pennsylvania, USA. Welcome, Fausto, to our show, to our podcast. It's our honor and pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
I'll introduce Fausto in brief to our audience. Fausto is one of the most sought after self-employment authors, having done over 90 television, radio, magazines, and newspaper interviews in last 6 months. That's a great achievement. A therapist and employee assistance specialist in private practice for over 30 years. Fausto Ruggiero published the Fix Yourself handbook last year. So Fausto, I would first, would ask you for our audience, tell us something about your story, your journey as a professional, and how do you, find this your field of assisting employees.
I've been counseling for 40 years now, and a while back, maybe actually 30 years ago, someone asked me to come into their business and help some of their employees. So I did that, and it just continued to blossom from that point. So for the last 30 years, I've been going into smaller businesses and large corporations, both nationally here in the country and worldwide. And I work with their human relations people and with their corporate executives, both in business planning and in employee relations. So it's been a very, very rewarding career.
Great. And what make you write, this book, You Fix Yourself, the Fix Yourself? The title is so very interesting. So what do you mean by the Fix Yourself?
The way I teach people is I tell them that everything we have is really inside us. We just need to grow to be strong people. We tend to look for help outside of ourselves so often. And what I want to teach people to do is to understand that the strengths are already inside us. We just need to know how to access those strengths and to use them in our daily lives. When we do that, we become stronger people. When we apply that to our personal lives, to business, we become more efficient people, and we're able to set and achieve goals more proficiently.
Yeah, that's right. So what are the techniques that people should adopt, or employees should adopt, some of the tricks or some of the techniques which our audience would be benefited today with your interview?
The best things I can tell people are, the first things are, slow down a little bit so you give your mind time to think. We have a tendency to respond emotionally first. And if we can slow down a bit and start working with our intellect for our emotion, we become better fact finders. And that's what we need both in our personal and in our business lives. We need to put together the appropriate facts that allow us to move forward. We can't do that if we're going very quickly, and we can't do that if we're processing emotionally. We need to get a little bit better working with the facts and with our intellects, which will break those facts down, and that gives us the information we need to move forward.
You're right. There is a saying that do not react to a situation, rather respond to a situation. And
Always.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, and in order to do that, we have to be able to slow down. When you slow down, what I'm saying is, if something happens, before you react to it, just take a moment and say, let me get all the information here first, so I know what I need to respond to. And I can't do that if I'm going very fast, if I'm letting my emotions dictate the pace of what's going on. So I just ask people to slow down, to Start thinking about what the facts are. Get more information about what you need. And that's again in our personal and our business lives. Get more information so we have the proper facts.
So, out of your experience, do you have any like data or maybe observation? Are men more emotional at workplaces or women more emotional at workplaces when they react to situations?
You know, I get that question a lot. Um, we are both emotional. We both do the same things. We just do them in different ways, you know. And that you know, the difference between the sexes, in my opinion, are not that great. We have a tendency to think they are. Women will process more. Trying to fix things. They will try to, they'll see something that doesn't work and they'll go after it and fix it, whereas a man will respond quickly and blow up and get angry. But in the end, they both circle back and try to fix the situation. Women have a tendency to be a little more nurturing, where men have that tendency to go out and quickly try to fix it and then move on very quickly. But for the most part, we're both doing the same thing. We're both reacting, and we're not slowing down and getting the information we need.
And it's very difficult to, detach emotionally, particularly at workplaces and because of workplaces at your homes. Sometimes we know people do carry the pressures of workplaces or the equations of the workplaces back to home. And when we say that we should not mix up personal with professional lives, somehow we have to draw that line between, your office life and work life. Like, I will give an example. Sometimes, if a working person, I will not say gender, it can be a man, it can be a woman, had a bad day at office. Something did not work out as they wanted. And obviously, nobody wants to have a bad day. And they came back home with a fogged mind. And they are not responding happily. The other family members are happy about some event. They want to share their happiness, and sometimes this person is not able to merge with that happiness, and may tend to display some sort of aggressiveness because of the whole day events that have come down, and it affects the family life also. If you are not emotionally detached from what you had at your office or workplace.
You know, again, we're back to the same thing. And I see that often. People will come in, when I do marriage counseling and couples counseling and family counseling, they will come in and say they're not separating business. They come home, they had a bad day, and they take it out on the family, and they're asking me for strategies. And I say, again, it's about how you go into the situation. If you're a person who's emotional and lets things bother you and you hold that stress inside you, you're more inclined to take that home with you. Likewise, if your family life isn't going well, your marriage, or there's some problems with the children or whatever it may be, you may bring that back into the business. So then you really don't have a point where you shut anything off. Everything kind of meshes together. And again, it's about learning how to be less emotional from the beginning. I talk about the pandemic and how we went into that. And what I've always said to people was, if you went into that strong and you were looking for facts and looking to put that in a perspective that made sense, and not react emotionally, then you dealt with it that way. But those of us who didn't do that, we got very emotional and we made irrational decisions because we were so emotional. So it's always about becoming a strong person. So when you go into those situations, then you are behaving more efficiently. And I teach that in business all the time. Employers will get these huge marketing programs, these things that are supposed to attract so much business, and then they see them begin to fail. And I tell them, your business plan will only be as strong as the people who are going to carry that out. So wonderful, have a good business plan, but you have to have people who emotionally and intellectually are sound enough to carry that out and make that work for you. And that's where the breakdown is. We need to become stronger people.
Emotionally stronger people.
Yes.
And that's why I think nowadays everybody talks about emotional quotient of an employee. Uh, how strong he or she is emotionally to tackle with the office problems, or with, as you said, with the personal problems while coming to the office. Because it's very important to keep that line, to keep that space between the two spaces. Where can we access this? This seems to be a very interesting book and very useful resource, as in HR also, for employees to know and understand and behave accordingly, because it would be good for their own progress, both personally and professionally, for their own happiness also, if they are able to take decisions rationally rather than emotionally. Where can we get this book of yours?
You can find this on Amazon. It's there. I have a website. It is my name, FaustoRuggiero.com, and that's dedicated to the book. So if anyone wants to look at that, they can see what the book is all about. There are chapter outlines and excerpts from the book and all the media work that I've done. They can see all that, and they can get a tremendous amount of information about the book there.
Sure. Can we have link, your book cover and the link? We would like to publish it on our website.
Absolutely. I
Or
will send that to you.
toward,
Sure.
so that our readers can also get benefited, and if they wish to, they can approach and buy the book.
Absolutely. Yes, that's not a problem. I can send that to you if you're going to put that up on when you do the interview. Again, if you go to my website, you'll see all of that information. Again, my name, FaustoRuggiero.com, but I will send all that information to you. And then if you want to get that out to the listeners, for sure, I can get that done.
Thank you, Fast. So anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
One thing I would just caution, particularly the business owners, is, since the pandemic, many people are working from home. And you and I were just talking about that separation of what home and business should be. And now we've even made it more difficult because now people are working from home. So to separate that is difficult because you're in the same place where you live and you work, and human resources departments and personnel departments aren't seeing people much anymore. They're actually not coming into work. So it's very important that and that's what I'm helping people do, to establish business programs that will allow the human resources departments to stay in touch with people. There's a whole new way we have to do that now. So I would just caution people, it's fine to have them work from home. It's cost effective. It keeps employees employed. But in the meantime, we're not seeing them anymore. So while they're home and working on whatever the business tells them they need to do, they may be raising kids and doing laundry and doing all those kinds of things. And some employees are more dedicated, and some will use that time to their own advantage. So it's going to be very important if businesses are using the home approach to be able to stay in touch with employees. So if anyone's interested in that, then by all means, I'd be happy to help them.
That's true, yes, that separation of species has just come to zero. And I can see so many of my friends who were staying in a close-knit family, in a closed house. They are now looking for bigger spaces, because every kid needs a separate space for the online classes. Every working person in the house, be it the husband or the wife or the father-in-law or the mother-in-law, they all need a separate space to work from home. So they are trying to move out to bigger spaces where each one has a separate corner without being disturbed by the another one having their own meetings. Very, very difficult. And for HR, it is very important to keep everyone in loop, to understand what is going behind, and to reduce the pressure and to reduce the stress, and to understand how can they increase the efficiency of the employee work-wise also. That was great. Yeah, please go ahead if you want to share something else.
Again, uh, just for everyone, whether you're in business or your personal life, they're very simple ways to make your life more efficient. The book I've written is about a program that I developed that I've been using for 20 years. And if you're willing to put this into your own personal life, it will help you be stronger, less emotional, more productive, and it will put you in a position to be able to achieve your goals without all this emotional stuff that tends to invade our lives. So if that's the program you're looking for, then mine will certainly help you.
So one question is just coming to my mind after hearing this. Which age group is best to read this book? Apart from
When I wrote the book, I wanted it to be for anyone. So I have people as young as 20 years old reading the book, and I have people as old as 65 or close to 70 reading the book. Males, females, it doesn't seem to be a problem. Sex, gender, sexual orientation. Everyone seems to be benefiting because, again, it's based on everything that we all have inside us. And even if we have different choices about how we live our lives and how old we are and all those sorts of things, religion, national origin, everyone seems to be saying the same thing, that they're all pulling things from the book that have increased the happiness in their lives. So I designed it for everyone, and it seems to be working that way.
So, dear audience, as Faust has just mentioned, this is a global book. This is about a global topic. It doesn't matter that if you are in America or in Canada or in Europe somewhere or in Asia somewhere or in Australia, this can help you in dealing with your matters at workplaces. And as he mentioned, even 20 years old. So I will say any B school students or any student right now in college or university who is going to join a workforce after completion of his degree or her degree, he can definitely benefit from this. It will be a preparing material for him before joining a job or a workplace or starting a startup. Am I right, Faust?
Yes, you are. And again, and I wrote the book in very short chapters because a lot of the men don't want to read 30 or 40 pages. So the chapters are 3 to 5 pages long. They outline specific problems, and then at the end of each chapter, I give you the exact steps you need to take in order to make to make those changes. So it's nothing that you have to try to figure out. You get the information for every problem, and at the end of every problem, I have the steps. And it's not just 3 or 4 problems. The book has 36 chapters, so I'm talking about 36 different human problems. So I tried to be comprehensive, to the point, and then provide exactly the information that you need to make those changes.
That's great, Fausto. So that was great having you, and it was a great conversation. Even I learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for being here.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.